Well, hello everybody. What is up to the Piscean Ponderings? What is going on with the Pisceans? Well, as of February 18th, 2026, Mercury is in its its pre-shadow. It hasn't even gone retrograde yet, and it's going retrograde on this Piscean's birthday, February 26th, and I will be recording on that date, just to show you guys if anything's going on. But I can guarantee with Mercury retrograde, there's really, it depends what house is Mercury going retrograde in for you. The Lord of Mercury in your natal chart is being affected. A bunch of other things. But this video is specifically about, just in general, planet retrogradity and the direct node. Now I'm gonna need to grab my glasses, which I should have already done, but I forgot. Alright, let's actually make this even more professional, we're talking about astrology here, for fuck's sake. I'm a teacher. I am Jupiter, so I should act like, a Pisces, Taurus, ascendant, here to do business. Alright. I know you guys are probably gonna make fun of this, or not. Who even cares? Life is too short to care. So we're gonna talk about planet retrogradity. Alright? And why am I gonna talk about this? Well, because planet retrogradity occurs for all of us. Whether you believe in astrology or not, studies have shown for millennia and since the beginning of human history that when planets go retrograde, specifically Mercury, it's appearing to go backwards, certain events are taking place in this human puppet dimension. And yes, I call it a human puppet dimension. If you've not seen my other videos where I go over this, I talk about the fact that there's actually 11 founded dimensions due to quantum mechanics and just the universe as the universe itself produces these dimensions with these ET beings. There have been notable videos I have on this channel where I talk about aliens, I talk about exo civilizations, I talk about NHIs, I talk about how to even build an astrological chart for these things, which no other channel is going to sit here and talk about. Well, guess what? I have Pluto in Sagittarius in my 8th house. I eat this shit up. I eat it up. I love astrology. I love Vedic astrology, Western astrology, Chinese astrology. I'm inclusive. These other astrologers you'll see on YouTube, we're just going to talk about the horoscopes, general horoscopes. Well, let's get started because I've been rambling for a few minutes. Coffee, also known as dog water, with coconut milk. So, first of all, we need to start with a preface, meaning we need to go over the apparent and the real. So I have some notes written down on my trusted tablet, and we'll just go over these. So the history of retrogradation is the history of human perspective, all right? For as long as we have watched the skies, we have witnessed the planets perform their cosmic dance, whether it's forward, stationary, backward, stationary, forward, an endless loop that seems to defy the orderly mechanics one might expect from celestial spheres. We are going to collect the most advanced thinking on the subject of planetary retrogradity in this video, with a particular focus on the lunar nodes, which I will be addressing as Rahu and Ketu, because hey, if you don't already know what that means, check out my other videos, subscribe, like, and comment. It's time to lock in. So those curious points that, unlike the planets, are typically retrograde by nature, yet occasionally, in moments of profound significance, move direct. I wrote a few essays, and these essays follow, historical research, metaphysical research, practical dimensions research of apparent planetary motion. They're not offered as definitive statements, but as invitations to further inquiry. Okay, so our first essay is The Mechanics of Wonder, a history of retrograde theory. Let's talk about the geometry of illusion. Yes, quantum metaphysics, folks. The ancient Greeks called them asteres planetes, the wandering stars. And unlike the fixed stars, which maintain their positions relative to each other with divine constancy, these 5 lights, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, wandered. They moved forward, they paused, retreated, and advanced again, as if uncertain of their path. For the astronomers of Babylon and Alexandria, these presented a profound problem. The heavens were supposed to be perfect, unchanging, eternal, yet here was evidence of irregularity, of hesitation, of reversal. The solution, as it emerged through centuries of observation and calculation, was geometric. Ptolemy's Almagest, composed in the 2nd century CE, offered a model of epicycles and deferents that preserved uniform circular motion while accounting for apparent retrograde motion. A planet moved on a small circle, the epicycle, whose center moved on a larger cycle, the deferent. From Earth, this combination produced the illusion of backward motion at regular intervals. I don't know if that looks backwards, but I'm trying to show you without really showing you. If we just pulled some images of like quantum, I mean, if you look at my other thumbnails, what is remarkable is not that Ptolemy's model was eventually superseded, but that it worked. And it worked well enough to predict planetary positions for over 1,000 years. The geometry of illusion was, in its own way, a geometry of truth. Let's talk about the medieval transmission. So, the knowledge of retrograde motion passed from Greece to Persia, from Persia to Baghdad, from Baghdad to Cordoba, and from Cordoba to the universities of medieval Europe. Along the way, it was refined, debated, and occasionally transformed. Let's consider the work of Joseph ibn Wakar, a 14th century astronomer from Cordoba. Recent scholarship has revealed that Ibn Wakar produced a new type of astronomical almanac that began at the 2nd station for each planet, the point at which a planet, having completed its retrograde loop, prepares to move direct again. This suggests a sophisticated understanding of retrograde cycles and their practical application. The medieval astrologers didn't merely calculate retrograde porn. Let's try that again. The medieval astrologers didn't merely calculate retrograde periods. They invested them with meaning. Excuse me if I slip up in a lot of my videos. I have Mercury in Pisces. It's debilitated. It's fallen. It doesn't do very good there. But I'm trying. As you can see, after years, I've had the fucking Phoenix rising. Seriously. Rahu in Aries over here. Pluto and Sag in the 8th house. I've been through it. Like everybody else, of course, differently. So these medieval astrologers that did not merely calculate retrograde periods, they invested them with meaning. A retrograde planet was said to be weakened or turned inward, so its energy is less available for external manifestation. And this interpretation, refined over centuries, remains central to astrological practice today. 2/18/26. Excuse me. Let's talk about the Copernican revolution. I've talked about research, my own statistics and research on astrology in the history. If you haven't seen my other videos, this is nothing new for me. We're just going more into detail about what I want to talk about. So when Copernicus placed the sun at the center of the solar system, right, the geometry of retrograde motion suddenly became clear. What we observe as retrograde motion is an optical effect. As Earth on its inner orbit overtakes an outer planet, that planet appears to move backward against the fixed stars. Similarly, inner planets appear retrograde when they overtake Earth. So the illusion was explained, but the meaning remained. For if retrograde motion is merely a matter of perspective, if standing on the sun would reveal all planets moving continuously forward, then what does this say about astrology? Is the entire edifice built on an illusion? Well, my answer is this. My own research, personally. Perspective is not illusion. It is reality. Perspective is not illusion. It is the individual's reality and possibly the collective's. I mean, hell, look at Pluto in Aquarius. I was on testosterone for 7 months, beginning in 2024, when Pluto ingressed into Aquarius in my 8th house. I thought I was a man. And I regretted it immediately. 7 months. In psychosis, depressed, suicidal, anxious, scared. And here I am today, understanding that I'm a female. I was born a female, and I will die a female. With my breasts, my vagina, my deep voice, in talking about astrology. This shit is real. I am telling you, it has affected me. I have Saturn and Cancer in the 3rd house. All I saw growing up was my dad abusing my mother. And I got the abuse from both of them. And then my older siblings. Saturn and Cancer in the 3rd house. Saturn and Cancer in the 4th house. What is it doing? Do you have any idea? Watch my videos. So, sorry for going off topic there, but this is the Piscean Ponderings. If you don't know what Pisces even means, you shouldn't be watching this channel until you figure it out. Pisces, my life has been exactly the way that the universe has given it to me. With this Pisces 11th house stellium, I just swim back and forth to friends, to no friends, to friends, to no friends, to girlfriend, to no girlfriend, to boyfriend, to no boyfriend, to the next thing. Pisces loves to swim until it's dead, because it's fish. And fish don't even talk. Which is why I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 8 years old. Because I didn't want to talk to people. I knew the world was scary from the get-go. So, all right. You are not on the sun. I'm not on the sun. No, none of us are. Why? Because we are on Earth. Our experience of the cosmos is from Earth, from this particular vantage point with this particular orbital geometry, and the fact that another vantage point would yield a different perspective doesn't invalidate yours. It enriches it. And this is the quantum insight applied to astrology. The observer matters. The wave function collapses according to the observer's position. Your retrograde planets aren't less real because they would appear direct from another world. They are, in fact, more real because they describe your relationship to the cosmos from where you actually even stand. I bet you never heard an astrologer say this. I'm 15 minutes in. I'm staying activated over here. I got my suit on. You know what? I feel good. I'm living out it. I'll never forget Cam White. He said, "Are you going to be delusional about chasing your dreams? Why not? Fake it till you make it." Being delusional about it, that works. And putting in the effort, putting in the time for something that you love, that you can't even go to sleep because that's all you're thinking about. So, let's talk about my second essay, or read my second essay for you guys. We're going to go over the planets in retrograde, essentially a phenomenological taxonomy. We're going over consciousness studies. A lot of this channel is dedicated to metaphysical science, quantum astrology, of course, advanced astrology, genius astrology, innovative astrology, rigorous astrology, alien astrology, civilizational astrology. I'm going past the fundamentals of horary and medieval and Renaissance. I'm just telling you the history, but I'm telling you what's next too. And you should definitely subscribe and like and comment, because once I build this enterprise of astrological union, you want to be prepared. You want to be locked in. So, when a planet turns retrograde in the sky, it initiates a period of inward turning. The energies that were flowing outward into action, expression, relationship, now they flow inward into reflection, review, and integration. Now, this is not weakness, it is depth. D-E-P-T-H. Depth. Mercury retrograde. Mercury is in its pre-shadow. It's February 18th, and I can already feel it because Mercury, as a planet, is weak in Pisces. I've already said this, and a lot of astrologers will tell you the same. But there's one thing they don't understand. This natal placement, Mercury in Pisces, can be exalted by other placements in the chart. I have Mars in Capricorn. Yes, I have debilitation in Mercury. Yes, I have a Saturn that's debilitated. But I'm still here. And I'm going to work my ass off to get to where I want to go. Just like everybody else should. So, what is Mercury retrograde? Mercury retrograde! Well, Mercury retrograde is the messenger turns inward. Because Mercury's the messenger man. Communication becomes reflective rather than expressive, and thoughts circle back on themselves. Old conversations return for review. The retrospective quality of Mercury retrograde is well known, but its deeper significance is often missed, and these are opportunities to recognize, to know again, what we thought we already understood. Whether it's political, it's personal, it's familial, it's whatever. Venus retrograde. Excuse me. Love turns inward. Relationships that were moving forward pause for evaluation. Values shift. Hell, divorces happen, breakups. What we thought we wanted reveals itself as insufficient. Venus retrograde periods are times of revaluing, of discovering what truly matters beneath the surface of social convention. Okay? Mars retrograde. What is Mars retrograde about? Well, what happens when Mars is retrograde? I'm happy to tell you. Let's do it. Mars retrograde. Its action turns inward because the forward drive pauses and anger that was expressed externally becomes internalized. transformed or transcended. And Mars retrograde periods are times of re-strategizing, of questioning whether the battles we fight are worth fighting for. Let's talk about the superior planets. What are our superior planets? The outer planets, which are what? Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. They spend approximately half their time retrograde. This is not an anomaly, but it's a rhythm. It's a planetary rhythm. Because, for example, Jupiter retrograde, expansion turns inward. That search for meaning becomes internal, and conventional religion and philosophy no longer satisfy. The soul, the ego, the third eye, whatever you want to call it, it starts to seek its own truth as an individual. And those with natal Jupiter retrograde, such as myself, Jupiter's retrograde in Libra in the 6th house, often carry unconventional spiritual knowledge, earned through past life experience, but they struggle to share because we fall on deaf ears till it's too late. Saturn retrograde, structure turns inward. The relationship with authority, both external authority and the internalized authority of conscience, becomes a central life theme. So those with natal Saturn retrograde, often have complex histories with father figures, especially in Cancer in the 3rd house or the 4th house. In fact, I beg to differ, it doesn't even matter on the zodiacal sign that Saturn's in, of course, is going to affect it more, but if it's in the 3rd or the 4th house, regardless, Saturn is going to bring you some type of familial trauma, whether it's in Aries or it's in Pisces. If Saturn is in the 3rd or the 4th house, there will be familial issues. I am telling you this. I've experienced this on a natal level. So, complex histories with father figures, bosses, and institutions. How many of us fellow few in this band of misfits off my channel have been to the mental hospital? And I'm not joking. I went there 2 years ago now. For a week, I was hospitalized for trying to harm myself. So the trans-Saturnian planets, we have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto in retrograde motion, and they speak to generational and collective themes. The retrograde periods are times when the collective unconscious turns inward, processing the deep currents of cultural transformation. And no, I'm not going to censor myself in any of my videos. I'm so sick of people coming up with the reasons, you shouldn't say this or say this a different way. How about you go fucking suck a dick? Don't tell me how to live my life after what I've been through. You have no idea what my story is until you watch this channel, until you understand. Then you'll know. And even then, you guys have never met me in person. Some of you. Maybe some of you have. So, let's talk about my 3rd essay, where we're going over the lunar nodes. Now, I'm only going to say it once in this video. Rahu is the north node of the moon, and Ketu is the south node of the moon, okay? The dragon's head is Rahu. The dragon's tail is Ketu. Why? Because Rahu is the head that has no body and it wants to keep eating, and Ketu is the body that has no head but it just wants to keep moving. The dragon in the sky. So before there were even nodes, lunar nodes, there was a dragon. In ancient star lore, a celestial dragon was believed to devour the sun and the moon during eclipses. This dragon, sometimes called the snake-encircled figure, was depicted coiled around the zodiac, its head and tail marking the points where eclipses could occur. When Greek astronomers developed the mathematical understanding of eclipses, they retained the dragon imagery. The ascending node, where the moon crosses the ecliptic from south to north, became the dragon's head, Caput Draconis, and the descending node became the dragon's tail, Cauda Draconis. This imagery persisted through the medieval period and into the Renaissance. In the Mithraic mysteries, the snake that occupies half the zodiac, in the Ponza Mytherium, represents precisely this dragon, its head opposite its tail, pointing westward against the order of the zodiacal signs, exactly as the lunar nodes move. So the nodes in astrological tradition, well, the nodes are not planets, they are points. The intersections of the moon's orbit with the ecliptic, yet in astrological tradition, they carry profound significance. Why? Well, we have Vedic astrology. In Vedic astrology, they are Rahu, the north node, and Ketu, the south node. I said it again. Shadow planets with immense karmic weight. So Rahu represents obsession, craving, the endless hunger for experience, and Ketu represents release, spiritual attainment, the cutting away of attachment. Well, in Western tropical astrology, the nodes reveal the axes of personal evolution, which is why a lot of astrologers on YouTube want to talk about personal development, and they mention the nodes. So Rahu shows where we are headed, the north node of the moon, the qualities we must develop, the experiences we must embrace. And Ketu, the south node, shows where we come from, the talents we bring, but also the patterns we must release. Let's talk about the direct node, anomaly and opportunity. The nodes are normally retrograde. All right, we're arriving at the heart of this essay. Unlike the planets, which alternate between direct and retrograde motion, the nodes move backward through the zodiac almost continuously. And this is because, well, the moon's orbit itself precesses completing a cycle in approximately 18.6 years, but almost continuously is not always, okay? That's the catch. During certain periods, particularly around eclipses, the nodes can appear to move direct. This phenomenon, recognized in both Western and Vedic traditions, occurs when the moon's true motion temporarily overcomes the apparent retrograde motion of the nodes. In traditional astrology, these periods of direct nodal motion are often overlooked, but the Institute's research, being me, the founder, suggests that these are profoundly significant. Let's talk about the direct node in history. Alright? So when the nodes move direct, the usual karmic flow is interrupted, right? The dragon's head and the dragon's tail normally moving backward through time, pause, and advance. And this is not merely a mathematical curiosity. In fact, it is a moment of karmic acceleration. Our analysis of historical nodal motion reveals that periods of direct nodal motion correlate with the following three things: accelerated collective karma, events that would normally unfold over decades, they're compressed into years. Nodal reversals, times when the north node, Rahu, enters the sign of the natal south node, Ketu, and vice versa, creating profound shifts in personal and collective destiny. And we have our eclipse gateways, periods when the usual rules of fate, they're suspended and new possibilities emerge. Okay? We actually have an eclipse in Aquarius coming up very soon, so can't imagine what's going to happen. The 2026 direct node. Well, the nodes are going to move direct at some point. And for those with planets or angles at these degrees, this is what the period will bring. The next direct nodes, resolution of long-standing karmic patterns, sudden acceleration of life purpose, unexpected encounters with soul connections, release of ancestral programming. Because the direct node is not merely a mathematical anomaly, it's an opening, a moment with the usual constraints of time and karma relax, allowing for rapid evolution and profound transformation. And really quick, what we're going to do, because I just feel so bad for not giving you guys the actual date. I said it was classified, but so Yep. So from January 11th of 2025 until July 26th this year, 2026, Rahu is in Pisces and Ketu's in Virgo. They're still retrograde, so I'm pretty sure. Sorry, guys. In fact, when they go direct again, alright, forget what I just said about just that, but the rest of the video makes sense. Okay, so I would like to talk about retrogradation in the noosphere, collective cycles of inward turn. Just so you know, like when the nodes do go direct, it's essentially an opening, a moment when the usual constraints of time and karma relax, and it allows for rapid evolution and profound transformation. We're going to talk about the retrogradation in the noosphere. If you haven't seen my other videos where I talk about the noosphere, I suggest you watch them right now. Collective cycles of inward turn, the collective retrograde, because we're all human beings experiencing this, and even animals, I beg to differ, are influenced, and I'll make videos about this in the future as well. So if individuals experience retrograde periods as times of inward turning, what of the collective? Well, periods of multiple planetary retrogrades correlate with measurable shifts in global consciousness. Because why? Well, when several planets are retrograde simultaneously, the noosphere's coherence increases, but in a particular way. Essentially, the collective turns inward, attention shifts from external events to internal processing, social media engagement decreases, meditation increases, the pace of news slows. It's not random, it's the noosphere responding to celestial rhythms. Let's go over some history really quick. Examining major retrograde periods throughout history reveals fascinating correlations. So, of 1776, during the American Revolution, multiple planets were retrograde, including Jupiter and Saturn. The inward turn of the collective allowed for the gestation of new political forms. Let's talk about 1914. There was the outbreak of World War I, occurring during a complex retrograde period. The inward turn of European consciousness into nationalism, into militarism, into collective shadow, prepared the ground for catastrophe. And the retrograde of 1968, a year of profound global upheaval, coincided with multiple planetary retrogrades. The inward turn of the collective into civil rights, into anti-war movements, into cultural revolution, transformed society. Now here's what we need to do. As astrologers, students of astrology, we need to work with these retrograde planets in practice. Meaning, when you're an astrologer, you cannot run away from the clinical applications of astrology. Alright, we're talking about everything. The retrograde consultation. When a client presents with multiple retrograde planets, the standard interpretive framework must shift. These are not individuals who lack the energies of those planets, they are individuals whose relationship to those energies is internal. So a person with Venus retrograde doesn't lack love. They have so much love and so much history with love that it must be processed internally, because it can, before it's expressed in external level, they need to process how to love themselves, right? Venus retrograde, especially if Venus is debilitated in like Virgo. So a person with Mars retrograde does not lack will. They have so much will and so much karma around its use that action must be preceded by deep internal review. This is really funny. I want to go over the direct node client. So clients born during periods when the nodes were moving direct are rare, obviously, but some individuals carry a unique karmic configuration. The usual slow retrograde movement of the nodes is interrupted at their birth, and they are in effect karmic accelerators. So characteristics of the direct node native would include rapid karmic resolution. Patterns that take others decades to resolve may resolve in years. Intense nodal returns. The nodal return at 18, 37, and 55 brings accelerated life changes. Eclipse sensitivity. Eclipses hit harder, faster, deeper. Karmic leadership. Others' karma resolves in their presence. So let's talk about the dimensions, the 12D protocol in retrograde. So in another lecture I did on this channel, I talked about the 12-dimensional reading protocol. Retrograde planets receiving special attention. Their inward turn energy manifests differently in each dimension. So for example, dimension 1, tropical, the planet's energies are internalized, reflective. Dimension 2, sidereal, Vedic, fixed star conjunctions during retrograde periods carry additional weight. The star's influence is absorbed rather than expressed. Jumping to dimension 5, which is quantum. Retrograde planets have wider probability clouds, more possible manifestations, more potential timelines. Dimension 9, topological. Retrograde planets create torsion in the manifold, twists in the fabric of the chart that require special navigation. And dimension 10, for example, is the past life. Retrograde planets are direct portals to past life material. So now I want to kind of end this video here with the wisdom of the backward step. The planets do not actually move backward, but neither do they actually move forward, not from every perspective. Motion is relative, reality is relative, meaning is relative, and what matters is not the absolute truth of planetary motion, but the experienced truth of our relationship to the cosmos. When a planet appears to move backwards, something in us responds. We turn inward, we review, we reconsider. This is not illusion, this is wisdom. The retrograde cycle teaches us that forward motion is not the only motion, and sometimes the path forward requires a step back, and sometimes the greatest progress is made in stillness. Sometimes the most profound truths are found not in the destination, but in the return. We honor the retrograde as astrologers, not as weakness, but as depth, not as delay, but as gestation, not as backward motion, but as the spiral path by which all things evolve. Thank you for watching this video. Like, subscribe, and comment, and I will be teaching more advanced astrology in the next one with peace and love.